Curtis to come on our show from Newsbusters. He is their managing editor. And one of the reasons I did, because I thought that the speech that Trump made on, I guess it was Friday night in Mount Rushmore, was one of the best speeches I've ever heard, certainly for the president who I've been following for 30 years. I thought it was by far his best political speech ever, and I thought it was kind of the launching pad to the campaign because that was not Tulsa. Tulsa was a disaster. And Curtis Houck, who's the managing editor with the Newsbusters, they sent an email out detailing the negative coverage that the president got from the fake news on this speech. And I had to read the email 3 times because I thought I was misreading it because it was that bad. Now, you kind of know it because you get all the alerts in the Washington Post and Politico and CNN all blasted the speech 5 ways to Wednesday. But I don't really pay attention to that. But then when I saw it in black and white, I'm like, oh, my goodness. And he's joining us now, Curtis Houck. He's managing editor with Newsbusters. Hey, Curtis, first time on the show. I don't call you guys up a lot, but thanks for being with us. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Good morning.
So the reason why I asked you guys to come on is you did a study of the negative stories on the president's Mount Rushmore speech, which I thought was awesome. And can you share that with our audience, Curtis?
Yeah, so I kind of took a look at CNN and MSNBC's coverage, and surprise, CNN did not carry a single second of it. They didn't carry, the president spoke for just over 42 minutes on Friday night. We're going into a holiday weekend, so, it's not like they were starved or that they, that there wasn't a need to kind of fill airtime. So, but CNN decided instead to show two coronavirus specials. One was about the president and his response to the coronavirus and typical CNN fear-mongering. And then the other was a replay of a special about bats and how bats carry the virus. So those were 2 re-airs during prime time on Friday night. But MSNBC wasn't that much better. Again, the president spoke for 42 minutes, and CNN or MSNBC carried just under 5 minutes of it. So that's about 11% is what the math.
So they don't carry the speech, and then they spend 3 days blasting it.
Right, exactly. and so here's and this is the issue. They don't trust viewers. The few viewers that there are on CNN to actually watch the speech and be able to make those decisions for themselves. So they're able to get away with saying that it's an abysmal performance, it's appalling, it's divisive, it's a dog whistle, it promoted racism. It's one of those classic examples of the left saying, just trust us on this one. They don't let people actually think for themselves and actually watch it, because if they did watch it, start to finish, they would say exactly what you did, that it was a fine speech, it was unifying, it was stirring, talking about the greatness of Harriet Tubman and the Wright brothers and Muhammad Ali, and about how we are all made in God's image, and we all deserve a full equality,
right.
Equal protection of the law. Apparently, all of these things are now objectionable.
Apparently, if you live in New York City or New York and you have your district attorney leaking, they leak an email that says we're not all equal under the law now, because what he said is if you broke the law as a looter, as a protester or a rioter, he said we don't really want to prosecute those people. Let them go. However, he said, do whatever you can to dig everything up you possibly can to find any police brutality or any police officer acting in a way that is not perfectly by the book. Find it, and we're going to prosecute that. Now, is that Lady Justice blindfolded, or is that taking the entire justice system and putting it through a political lens, Curtis?
Yeah, I was going to say that's definitely throwing it through the wood chipper, the blindfold. So, no, Exactly. That's not what we're looking for here. But really, of course, CNN and MSNBC don't care at all about this. They do say they want to eliminate the founders. Al Sharpton said that on Saturday. These statues of white supremacy must be eliminated from, quote, the American story. And then the next night he said it was a love letter to white supremacy. And, of course, Michelle Cinder, who appears on MSNBC, but she is a PBS correspondent, so paid for by we, the taxpayers, said America's a lie and a myth. It was never great. And the Republican Party is one of with a history of white resentment. And even there were suggestions that we should formally demolish them, which is really, it's just so they want to talk about things that are out of step with our true history.
I don't know. Maybe it isn't. What you have to look at, Curtis, with the fake news now is it's so bad. You've got Ilhan Omar. This is an elected representative, right, from Minnesota. Think about this. We're with Curtis Houck. He's the managing editor of Newsbusters. That's an organization that really rates the fake news. If you really want the stats on the fake news, Newsbusters has it. But Curtis, we can sit there and say, they're out of step. Ilhan Omar, right, elected official, Minnesota, part of the squad, along with the bill that they came out with, her and Tlaib the other day, which is for reparations and defunding all cops, and we just go through a country without cops, and somehow that utopia didn't work this weekend in Chicago. But she comes out yesterday with a speech and says she wants to dismantle the U.S. economy. This is the greatest economy in the history of the world, with the biggest incomes, with the highest wages that people have, with the best quality of life ever created in the history of the globe, in the history of the world, and she wants to dismantle the economy. And that is now mainstream, Curtis. Mainstream.
Yeah, oh yes, mainstream, yes, on the left. It is definitely. I meant just like in general of America's past and who we've been. But obviously now,
well, you can't dismantle. Yeah. Look, it all goes together, Curtis, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can't dismantle the U.S. economic system without going back and dismantling the founding and the history. So what the Marxists do is they first debase the country. They say it's a lie. The founding fathers were racist. The Declaration of Independence is a love letter to white supremacists. So they have to trash the whole thing, re-educate you, and then based on that, then go to the next step and say, we have to dismantle the whole thing and start over, right?
Which is what I would say. I encourage everyone to look up Don Lemon and Terry Crews the other day, because every time Terry Crews would say, well, I looked into the Black Lives Matter platform, and it's not really about police reform. It goes beyond that. Don Lemon cut him off before he could go any further because they don't want any discussion of that. And then brought up black-on-black crime. Over nearly 80 people shot in Chicago over the 4th of July weekend.
87.
87. And then it was made even worse, Seattle saw a 525% spike in crime thanks to CHOP. And then in June, the LAPD reported homicides were up 250% at the beginning of the month. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Crime up in New Orleans and Memphis and Minneapolis. Well,
because there's no cops.
Exactly.
I don't know what the left expects. You're going to defund police. You're going to intimidate police. You're going to throw pellets at them. You're going to allow them to be abused, and then you're going to try to put them in jail for any time they try to protect you. So you put them at risk, and then you turn around and can't understand why shootings and murders are up 2, 3, 4, 500% in these cities.
Why is this happening? Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the same thing. They get one thing, and then when things like that happen, people they throw up their hands and blame police. Where are the police? It's like the thing with Andrea Mitchell and Eleanor Holmes Norton, when some crazy person tried to run up to them, and one of them wondered, "Where's the police when you need them?"
Well, you defunded them. That's what they don't exist, right? So exactly, they don't exist. So, but then in the meantime, you got De Blasio from New York City shootings there up year over year, 150%, child killed. And so you have de Blasio, rather than took no responsibility, blame COVID. Says, well, people are they're just frustrated. Oh, so they're frustrated. So that's the reason they're shooting little girls playing at their grandmother's house, because they're frustrated.
Yeah, or like in New York City, a little girl and her father walking across the street, gunned down right in front of her. Guy drives up and shoots. Yeah, I mean, and you think back to Horace Lorenzo Anderson Jr. in Seattle, Devon McNeil in Washington, D.C., and then young Mick Turner in Atlanta over the past weekend. I mean, do these people's lives not matter? And clearly, as Don Lemon and the rest of the mainstream media have shown, the answer is no. I mean, some crimes are more important than others. Instead of, taking the idea that all of these people are part of American children, the promise of America, the joy of America, as people say when they talk about their children. But I guess not. And obviously, amidst all of this, the name that has really somehow escaped on CNN and MSNBC, George Floyd. The name George Floyd. How much is, it's like his name, it's like it never even happened.
Well, now we're on to something else. Look, whatever doesn't fit their narrative, they
Correct.
don't report on. And I think that's basically what you were saying about the speech in Mount Rushmore. And the irony of it is CNN and NBC didn't carry it and then spent a weekend blasting it. And it's just ridiculous. Hey, Curtis, thanks for being with us. Curtis Houck, editor from Newsbusters.